The Untoward, Book 2 of The Queen Beyond, written by Simon Markusson, narrated by Cullen. The foxes are dancing in the waters of the pond. Deep as death and ruin, beware the Queen Beyond. Chapter 1. Conrad. Conrad had always been a sensible man. He had never taken part in witch hunts or credited folklore. He had never listened to the commoner stories of trolls and kobolds. He had never believed there to be giants in the mountains, or great worms beneath the earth. He had never believed in monsters dwelling in the fabled lakes, or that the dead could rise again when not properly buried. He had known that magic was myth, and that the same was true for ghosts and dragons. Yet now, riding behind the wizard Alwarul on their way to the barbarian encampment, now he was no longer certain if he knew anything at all. The mage looked much like any old man, creased and gnarled, and with hair that was as white as snow. Only now Conrad had come to realize that the old man was far from ordinary. There was power in his eyes, power behind every word that he spoke. Conrad had seen what that power was. He found himself recalling the things that Alwarul had said throughout their journey, the way he had raved about the darkness, the prophecy and the doom. Conrad had listened only with half an ear then, but now he could only suppose that the madman's ramblings were not to be taken so lightly after all. He thought of the house they had seen in a misty valley, a forsaken building that had given him chills even before the old man had started to speak of it. He remembered the frightened account of a man in Hearthglen who had spoken so sincerely of a ghost come to haunt him, and Hagwin, his old friend who had been afflicted by some unknown disease, had also spoken of a dying world. He could not discard any of it as nonsense any more. The wizard had shown him what could not be, and in doing so he had shaken a foundation that Conrad had believed solid. In the stories, the spellcasters were always old, sinister creatures who lied and manipulated the young and the innocent to make terrible sacrifices, using them as pawns in their witchcraft. How could he be sure that Alwarul was truly on some quest to save the world, as he claimed, and not merely out to further his own dark art? There was a grim air about the man now. The fools were right. The bloody fools were right all along. The party rode into a great field of dust and stones, where tents innumerable stood erected on every flat surface, and on the hills as well, upon the cliffs, and along the heights. Everywhere space had been made for more tents, and as many lean-tos had been put up against the rocks. The tents were made of skins of moose and seal, with bones hanging at their entrance to rattle in cold winds. Everywhere savages rose from their task of skinning goats, or tanning leathers, or sharpening weapons and mending clothes to watch the newcomers. "Right sick," someone called in disbelief before taking up the cry along with others. "Right sick, right sick." The whole camp was sent into commotion, all the savages scurrying about like mad as they tried to get a look at the old man with the white beard. Women brought their children to let them see, pointing at the sorcerer. People came rushing from every direction, and the shouts and the merriment soon filled the whole encampment. "Right sick, will you chase away the beasts?" one woman suddenly shouted, and Conrad heard similar questions elsewhere, yet they were mostly drowned by the din. "What's this trouble with beasts? Is it what Hagwin spoke of?" He could find no more answers than those who shouted their questions. They were brought to the center of the encampment, and there the procession stopped before a mighty tent that was far larger than the others. A tall, powerfully built man with a short grey beard and a blind eye came out of that tent, looking about at the suddenly hushed crowd. "What's this I hear?" the man said in a loud tone that made it clear
Sample complete. Ready to continue?